Alright, Focus Fellows, I hope this video finds you well today. It is Wednesday, the last Wednesday in May. Hard to believe, right? Haven't seen you guys in person since March and we're already talking about May. Time is really flying. A few short weeks, you'll be 5th graders. Alrighty then, so today you're going to be reviewing all the stuff we worked on with fractions. So fractions and mixed numbers, that's the name of the game today. The first thing you're going to be doing is some comparing fractions. Remember, when you compare fraction, we're going to do that butterfly or that cross multiplying. So I have 8/9 and 2/9. And be careful. Notice how I start with the first numerator. 8 times 9 is 72. Then do my second one. 9 times 2 is 18. And then you're going to compare those two values. 72 is greater than 18, so that would be my answer. Now, I am aware you guys can do this in your head. I don't require you to draw the circles, but could you please show me in your thinking the 72 and 18 so I know you knew how to cross multiply that? Okay? Alright, so I would be completely fine if you guys just wrote this on your independent practice. Okay? You don't have to do the circling. Alright, adding fractions with unlike denominators. First thing you need to do is find that common denominator. Remember our strategy. Many of you are very good at just looking at them. If you are struggling, and that's okay, we haven't done this in a little bit, skip count to find your common denominator. I am going to skip count to find mine for the notes. On your independent practice, if you know the common denominator by looking at it, I don't require you to skip count, okay? So 9 and 3, 9, 18, 27, 36, and then 3, 6, 9. There it is. It's 9. This is the part I do want to see on your independent practice, though. I do want to see that you knew 8/9 stayed as 8/9 because you multiplied by 1. And I do want to see that you knew 2 times 3, you multiplied by those 3. Some form of that kind of work. Okay? And then 8 plus 6, I'm going to add my numerators, is 14/9. Again, ask your simplifying questions. First one's always, is top bigger than bottom? If it is, I'm going to divide. I can get one group. Subtract, 5 left. So I get 1 and 5/9. And then you also have to ask yourself, 5/9. Can you simplify 5/9? Do they have a GCF, a greatest common factor besides 1? The answer is no, so that's your answer. So you're going to be adding some fractions with unlike denominators, and then you're going to subtract some. Again, if you are struggling with your common denominator, please use that skip count. Looking down here, most of you probably figured it out in your head. Denominators are 12 and 4. What do they have in common? 12. So you can simply just do 10/12 equals 10/12. 1/4 equals times 3 times 3, 7/12. I'd be completely fine if that's all the work you showed. And then obviously give me your answer. 10 minus 7 is 3/12. Now, I know we did T-charts. Whoops, sorry about that. To simplify, if you are comfortable at looking at your numerator and denominator and you know, oh, GCF for 3 and 12, that's 3. I'm fine if you don't make the T-charts. If you're looking at those numbers and they're bigger or you're just drawing a blank, please use that T-chart. I'd rather you make a T-chart and get it correct than do it incorrectly. Alright, then you're going to add some mixed numbers. The only thing different with adding mixed numbers and adding fractions is that whole number that comes along with it. So, here's where you might need to do a little skip counting if you don't know the least common multiple for 4 and 14. So I'm going to go ahead and show the strategy. Again, if you can look down and you know right away. Or if you just skip count like I just did, and I see 28, and I know 14, if I double, it's going to give me 28. That's fine too, okay? Alright, so 7 3/4. New denominator is going to be 28. Keeping that whole number. 4 times 7 gives me 28, so I'm going to do the same to the top. 3 times 7 is 21. And then 2 3/14. New denominator is going to be 28. I know 14 times 2 is 28. 3 times 2 is 6. Oh, don't forget that whole number. So I'm going to add my numerators. 21 plus 6 is going to give me 27. Keeping that denominator. 7 plus 2 is going to give me 9. So I have 9 and 27 28ths. Remember that rule. One and done. Since 27 is only one away from 28 and it's not bigger, I don't have to worry about simplifying. And then you will subtract some mixed numbers. So I look down, I see 5 and 6. If you need, skip count strategy for an LCM, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. And then I see that 30 and a light bulb goes off in my head. Oh, that's a multiple of 6, so that must be their LCM, least common multiple. So 9 and 2/5, I'm going to rewrite it with an equivalent mixed number with the denominator of 30. So 5 times 6, do the same to the top. Don't forget that whole number. And then 5 and 5/6, rewriting an equivalent mixed number with a 30 as the denominator. 6 times 5, 5 times 5 is 25. There we go. Alright, subtraction. 12 minus 25. We're not 6th grade math just yet, gentlemen, so we're not getting into negatives yet. But we do know how to do this. We're going to take a whole. We're going to regroup it at 30 over 30. So our new mixed number is going to be 8 and, whoops, sorry. Didn't mean to write a 3 there. 8 and 42 30ths. Minus 5 and 25 30ths. Now I can subtract. 42 minus 25 is going to give me 17 over 30. And 8 minus 5 is going to give me 3. And now let's think back to what we learned a long time ago about prime and composite numbers. 17 is prime, guys. So what do we know about that? You're right. Only has factors of 1 and 17. And I know 17 times 2 is 34. So I definitely cannot simplify. Alright, multiplying fraction times fraction. Remember, top times top. 5 times 2 is 10. Bottom times bottom. 6 times 4, 24. Then we got to simplify. GCF of 2. So I get 5/12. Again, if you're not knowing your GCFs, real simple, whip up those T-charts, okay? That's a strategy to figure out GCF. Alright, fraction times a whole number. Remember, it doesn't matter if the whole number is first or the fraction is first. You still do it the same way. Excuse me, hiccup. Because when you multiply, is 2 times 3 different than 3 times 2? No. Commutative property, right? Put that whole number over 1 because that doesn't change the value. 4 over 1 is still 4. Now I can multiply. Top times top, bottom times bottom. Simplifying. Is top bigger than bottom? Absolutely. So I'm going to divide. I get one whole group, one left over out of the 3 I need for another whole. Multiplying mixed numbers. This one, we have to do a little bit of work. Remember, you multiply mixed numbers, you have to convert them to improper fractions first. That's when we're going to do that. Times, denominator times whole number, plus the numerator. So 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 is 7. Keep the denominator. We're going to try that again. Remember, times the denominator times the whole number, plus the numerator. So 3 times 2 is 6. Plus 2 is 8. And now, it's just like what we were doing. Top times top, bottom times bottom. 7 times 8, 56. 3 times 2, 6. Top is way bigger than bottom, so I'm going to need to divide that. Skip count strategy if you would like to use it. Just putting down our tools. 36, 42, 48, 54. So I know 54 is the closest, so I can get 9 groups. 9 times 6 is 54. Subtract 2 left. I'm going to go ahead and shrink that down so I have a little, oops, sorry about that, boys. Shrink that down so I have a little room to work here. So I have 9 whole groups and 2 left out of my 6. What do you know about 2 and 6, though? Am I done? Negative, boys. Got to divide top and bottom by 2. So I still have 9 wholes and 1/3 for my final answer. So you'll be doing some multiplying fractions, fractions in whole numbers, and mixed numbers. Last thing, dividing a fraction by fraction. Remember our good friends KCF. Don't confuse them with KFC. We're not going back to Charlie's Wax Museum here, folks. We are keeping, we are changing, and we are flipping. Okay? So, keep that first fraction the same. Change that sign to multiply, and then reciprocal or flip the second fraction. So now my 2 is my numerator and my 1 is my denominator. Now it's just multiplication. Top times top, bottom times bottom. 2 times 2 is 4, 3 times 1 is 3. Again, ask your simplifying questions. First one, is top bigger than bottom? Sure is. So I'm going to divide, and I get 1 whole, 1 left over out of 3. Okay, boys, let's see. Did I give you any more? Fractions and whole numbers. Okay, same thing. We're going to KCF, but step before that, always put that whole number over 1. So now I'm going to keep 2 over 1 because that doesn't change the value of 2. 2 over 1 is still 2. Change the sign, flip, or use that reciprocal of the second fraction. So 2 over 1. So 2 times 2 is 4, 1 times 1 is 1, and we know anytime the denominator is 1, it's just a whole number. Alright, that's what you're going to work on today, gentlemen. There's also an optional coloring activity. It has to do with fractions and Cinco de Mayo. I don't know if you're aware, but next week we won't be doing fractions in math, but it is Cinco de Mayo, so I thought it would be fun, and I know how many of you enjoy Mexican food. There's some tacos and things in the picture, so if you want to complete that, there may or may not be a prize coming for the best coloring job, and I have enlisted Mr. Clary to be an unbiased judge. He will not know who colored it. I'm just going to print them off and let him take a look. So if you do color it, you can do it one of 2 ways. You can print it on paper if mom or dad can do that, or you can export it in Notability and then send it to me in email, and you can color it actually in Notability. It's up to you. It's an optional activity if you want to participate. If not, that's okay. Just make sure you do your independent practice and turn it in. I hope you all are doing well, and